What's going on, car nerds? Welcome back to the Feel for Thought podcast, and we're on episode 49 this week. So, almost been doing this an entire year, eh?
Pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's wild. And next episode we'll have a bit of a special event, I guess, for our 50th episode, which will, you guys will see what that's about. But yeah, Kevin, what are we talking about today?
So I went to the local Formula One exhibit in Toronto, and just wanted to walk through my experience and the cool things I saw, and just talk about F1 in general, because I know you're a big fan of it and your whole family is, and it's still pretty new to me. I don't know much about F1, but it is probably the biggest thing, and from what we've seen, like, our episodes on F1 have been the best performing. So
yeah, I feel like there's a huge hype following around it now, especially like TikTok and social media have made it a much bigger event. And I think shows like what's that show called on Netflix? I always forget.
Driver, F1 Driver? Or?
Yeah, Driven. Is that? Anyway, it's like a F1 show. It's like the highlights reels of each year and stuff, like the big crashes. So there are people who have been watching that and really falling in love with the drama and the action of it. So it's really cool sport. But yeah, I'm curious to hear more too about your experience. So you went last week, right?
Last week. Nice. I went during the weekend. It's not. I wouldn't recommend it because it is the most expensive. So it's by demand. So during the week it's $30-$40, and then on weekends it's like $65. So.
Oh, okay, yeah, it's a lot more. Yeah, I was looking at tickets too. I think exactly it's like 30 something during the week. So, and it's at the exhibition hall in Toronto, right? Convention Center. Or is it an exhibition?
Not exhibition. It's right by the water.
Oh.
Like almost by your old place.
Oh, okay. So like
some
downtown.
weird building.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of low key. Like, I missed it at first. I just biked right by it, and then you have to go around, and then there's a huge sign, but it's just like some old ass building.
Oh, I think I know what you mean. Actually, it's like there's that huge billboard there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I know what you mean now. Yeah. It's like right on the water. It's like Yonge and Queens Quay. Okay, for all you Torontonians watching.
Yeah, and the place is pretty cool. So when you go in, it's like right away, bam, full F1. You can get it's like an extra ticket or an add-on to your ticket, which is the simulator. So they have like a row of simulators, and you just get to drive the car.
That's pretty cool.
It looks pretty awesome, but I think it was like $22 extra.
So it's just one time you get to do it? Or is it just like whenever you want to that day?
I believe it's just one time, but if you have a ticket, like when I went, nobody was using the sim, so I'm sure you can talk to the people working there, be like, yo, nobody's here.
Slip them a $5,
Yeah. But yeah, it can get expensive real quick, for sure.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, I feel like they do that at events a lot in Toronto, where they just kind of upsell everything.
Yeah, and even they have like, when you exit, they have a merch store, and I just had a quick look, like everything was above $20.
Sucks. See, that sucks, because stuff like that would be a really cool place to get like a souvenir if it was like decently priced. But
yeah, I wanted maybe an F1 hat, but
that's
they were
cool.
like $35 for a hat. It's kind of pushing it.
It's actually, it's not as bad as I thought it would be. I thought it'd be like 50 minimum, but it's still expensive.
But yeah, so the exhibit itself, of course, as soon as you go in, they do a photo shoot. You stand behind a green screen, and I was gonna do it, but then I was like, seems fishy, and I was right. When you leave the exhibit,
they give you the option to buy.
Yeah, they're like, oh, did you take a photo? Well, buy it. So another way to get your money. Which I get, nothing in life is free, but like it just felt like
It's a bit of a scam. Like you felt like you're getting along for the ride.
Yeah, like I'm already paying $60 to be here. Like I don't know, whatever. So the way they split out the exhibit is first stretch is like the history of F1. So they kind of take you through the whole how the whole racing became a thing, and then you move on to like modern day. And then they explain how the like modern cars are behaving and all the engineering behind it. And then the last step is kind of like the drivers, focusing on the drivers. So you get to hear about how they started, what they're doing now, all the racetracks, and then kind of the final stretch is the people that passed away in Formula One. So kind of memorial of all the
Ayrton Senna.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was up there, and then you finish off with a quick like Montreal Grand Prix overview, and then finally a video, like a 5-minute video, and then that's the tour.
These are all different like booths along, or
it's kind of like a giant snake, so it's like an S. So you go through.
But you do it in order.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah, there's only like one way to go through the whole thing. By the end, I spent like 2 hours there. By the end, I skipped by the Montreal. I was like, I need food. I need to get out of here, because it is like almost overwhelming how much info.
Really?
So maybe like my advice would be like be specific. If you don't care about something like the history, you could just kind of go through it quick because you want to maintain your energy for the parts you care about.
Yeah, I personally like all the visual stuff. Like seeing, like, for example, we have a photo here, I'll pop it in the video, but of like an older racer, like how those look, like that kind of stuff's really cool because they actually have like real life, cars that were used in Formula 1.
And the thing I really liked is, I don't know if you've seen this before, but in museums sometimes they give you like a little remote and then a headphone.
Oh yeah.
So you get to experience the audio without bothering everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And every person got one of those, and then you would click, like kind of connect. So there's different little boxes. You connect to one box, and then the audio would play, and then you move to the next box, connect to it.
Oh, cool.
So it was pretty cool.
That's awesome, actually.
Yeah, you got to determine, what you're watching, and
that's sweet. So that's the whole experience. You'd have headphones.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And then another one was an interactive screen. So you had an F1 car, like a modern day F1 car, and then you could, inspect the engine, and then it give you specs or engineering facts, and then you move to the aero, the brakes. That was really cool.
Yeah.
I liked being able to kind of interact with the screen and learn information that way.
Yeah, that's sick. I feel like, because that things like this, I need to have something for every kind of person. Because everyone learns differently. Like some people like listening, some people like looking at stuff, some people like touching and feeling like stuff that's going on, so it's cool that they have those options, I think.
Yeah. So gonna quickly run through like my highlights of the exhibit. So the history part was actually fascinating because I feel like I knew F1.
Yeah.
But like when I got in there, I was like, how did it become a thing? Like, what was the first races? And this actually stood out to me. So this was back in France, like in the really olden days, like 1920, 1930, when cars were becoming a thing. What the rich would do is like just gather like 2-3 people and just rip their car down the main road. But they weren't fast, so like it was like 25 miles an hour. And that was their version of a race, just on the public streets, and then they would take breaks, like lunch break, and then it's almost more like a rally, a car rally, like
gumball
or something.
Or like even just like a cruise almost.
Yeah. So that's kind of how it started, like street racing, and then cars became faster as time went on, and it became more dangerous because they were just on the streets with people crossing, still of courses at the time.
Yeah.
So government started banning speeding and racing, so they had to do something about it. So they just went like farmland, made dirt roads, and those were the racetracks. It's just like dirt roads in the woods or somewhere, lost. And yeah, that's
it started with rally, really,
essentially, yeah, because paved roads was not a thing back then.
Yeah,
It
true.
was just dirt. And yeah, it's just pretty cool to see.
It's crazy to contrast it with like nowadays, it's like so official and such a big, like expensive sport that like, they have the whole build outs at each track and like the full pavement and like the lights in Dubai and Qatar where they have like those massive setups. It's just like, it's nuts how far we've even like less than 100 years.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah. Now you would never get away with that.
Exactly.
And the thing that was like scary is, before the invention and like the use of carbon fiber, if you crashed in racing, that usually meant you were dead.
Really?
Because it was like they showed a shell. I don't have a picture, unfortunately, but it's just a tin can, like metal just wrapped around you, like you're stuck in there. And if you crash, the metal's just gonna like there's nothing there stopping it. It's just gonna go straight into you and
Jesus,
kill you.
that's safe.
Yeah, there's a lot of issues, and that's when they started doing regulations because cars were becoming faster and faster, but the safety wasn't there.
Yeah.
So they had to reduce speed and reduce engine size.
I mean, even up till like the 90s, like when Senna died, even that was like, they didn't have the kind of clamshell around their heads to protect them. So like they're constantly adding all these features and safety measures. So like now it's like very rare for someone to actually die, and like unless they're caught in like a fireball like Grosjean was at some point. But yeah, it's crazy to see how far even that's come, because they still look like tiny cars. Like you wouldn't think it's that safe, but just like the way they build the shells and stuff is just like mastered to be able to do that.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And another thing that like fascinated me is until the 1970s, aerodynamics weren't really understood. They just kind of like made an eggshell and called it a day. Until the 1970s, where they started implementing front aero and like lips and rear wings, and that's kind of when we started to understand on aerodynamics and like controlling the car.
Yeah.
But yeah, before that, it was just like
free for all.
Yeah, there wasn't really anything like that.
It's crazy to think about, because even like car engines are so inefficient, like how they burn gas. Like most of it's heat anyway. It's like the fact that they had that and then no aerodynamics and just like all this heavy ass metal. Like it was just like the most useless machine back then.
Yeah, but they still did like amazing, weren't they?
Yeah, they were fast. It's impressive.
Yeah, and the thing that so they had 3 different old F1 cars on display, and I thought they were awesome, all from different eras. It was really nice seeing just the progression, because there was a recent F1 car on display as well, so it's just completely different. Everything is re-engineered and re-envisioned, and every single old F1 car had like those metal trays in restaurants? Yeah, every single one of them had that on like underneath the engine, and every single one had oil stains, like leaking the entire time.
So funny.
So yeah, I guess that's old race cars for you.
It's actually nuts.
Some of the things that stood out that were like shocking to me. So I'm gonna butcher this guy's name, but Bernie Ecclestone. Ecclestone.
I actually don't know, but yeah, sure.
So he,
Ecclestone.
yeah, probably that. He revolutionized F1. So before he came along, I think in the 90s or maybe the 80s, F1 was just like a rich people thing. So you paid to get your car, you paid to build your car, you would pay to race. You had sponsors, but it wasn't a huge thing. It was just like, you have a couple people in the stadium and stuff watching it, and they sell tickets that way, but it wasn't a business. It was just people having fun racing cars. And then he came along and was like, there's so many emotions, there's so much drama, so much excitement in this. Why don't we capture this and show the entire world? So they made a movie, I think it was called Rush.
Oh,
and while making that movie, they're like, why don't we just televise this? Why don't we just start making merch, start really making a brand of F1. And the FIA, which was like ruling the F1 at the time, just told Bernie like, yeah, sure, do whatever. Like, we don't care. Like, they didn't see the potential. They didn't see it as a business. They just thought some crazy rich dude is gonna try to make some money, but it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
But complete opposite. Like nowadays, it is an empire.
Yeah, it's huge.
It makes so much money. Like
it's actually like almost on par with the Olympics. Like the amount of viewers and stuff. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and that's all because of this guy. He saw an incredible business opportunity and just jumped on it.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and then another thing that like just blew my mind is modern day F1 cars. You know how a turbo is like the cold side and the hot side are together. On F1 cars, they're separate. So the cold side is from the engine, and the hot side is at the back of the engine.
Really? That's so weird.
Yeah, I still don't fully understand. I guess because like usually the back spindle will pressurize the system and like suck in air.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't understand how the back spindle is pressurizing the front. Maybe
some like rod or something.
Yeah, I'm not
connecting them.
I'm not sure exactly, but like that was what.
That's interesting. Yeah.
But it makes sense because like when they're together, the hot exhaust gas is gonna make the turbo inlet hot because they're connected, right?
So they're gonna affect performance.
Yeah, but now they're just separating that so that it's much more efficient. Yeah, and just the amount of engineering involved.
It's insane.
In F1 is like.
You could talk about this in our like the last F1 thing, just like how much R&D money goes into like each engine. It's ridiculous.
It's crazy. Like every year they spend about 8 months just redesigning and like not just a couple parts, like the entire car, every bolt gets redesigned.
Because every year there's like a facelift, even just from the exterior looking at it. But like of course the interior and the engines are all different too.
Yeah, and there's teams for everything, like hybrid system, aerodynamic, tires, brakes. It's like.
Yeah, and then they also have to like comply with FIA too, which is constantly changing their rules.
Yeah. So yeah, it was just insane. They walked through the process of how an F1 car gets built, and yeah, like we're used to cars. Let's take the Huracan and its new successor, the Temerario. I don't know. I keep forgetting the name.
Temerario. Temerario. Say it with an Italian flair, and then you probably say it right.
Yeah. So it took them. So the Huracan was in production for probably 10 years, and it probably took them 4 years to design that car.
Yeah.
F1 cars are like crammed into 8 months.
That's actually wild.
Of research and development, and as soon as the first one's built, it's on to the next one. It's just constant evolving.
Crazy. Yeah. That's why it's such a high paid sport too. Like these teams make so much money.
Yeah. And then I forgot to mention one of my favorite parts of it was interactive like game. So you it was a button and then the countdown of the lights, and then you press it as soon as it hits go. And it's just to test your reaction time. It was amazing to see like how crazy F1 drivers are. I tried like a bunch of times, like probably 10 times. The best I could do is 0.28 reaction time, which is not bad.
Yeah.
But an F1 driver does it 1.6.
Or 0.1.
Yeah.
So literally half the time.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So is that like, I know sometimes they do like the ball drops. Was that a thing too, or is it just the button?
Just the button.
Okay. Because that seems hard, like where they like drop it and you have to like go like that.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So insane reaction time, and like the training that goes into these athletes, because they are athletes first of all.
Definitely.
But like, if you look at them, they're usually just like skinny dudes.
Yeah. Because they can't be heavy, because the car will be slow. It's like, I think like there is like a max weight and height or something. I don't know exactly what they are, but I think it's somewhere around like 160 pounds. And like they can't be over 6 feet, I believe.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, because it's crazy. Like I never thought they were in shape, but
no, yeah.
They really
even just
are.
the G-force. Think about like the neck muscles and stuff, and like, even just like holding the wheel for that long a time. Like some races are like 2-3 hours, and it's like it's a lot of muscular tension and sweating.
Well, they had a chart here. So if you look at this one, Formula One car is 6.5 Gs.
Jesus, yeah.
A fighter jet is 7 Gs.
That's insane.
It's almost on par with a fighter jet.
Exactly. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense actually. Just like how trained they have to be.
How
it's
long
more than a fighter jet.
Oh wait. Oh shit.
So
okay.
Apollo. So that's like a fucking spacecraft coming down.
Jesus Christ.
That's insane.
Yeah, because
it's 2 Gs more than a fighter jet, which is 4.5 Gs, and then they're pulling 6.5. That's insane. So I guess it's just like the cornering and like the speed at which they're braking and the crazy jerking motions that they have to go through turns.
And how long does a race last for F1?
Yeah, it depends on like how many restarts and stuff they have, but usually like I'd say an hour and a half to 3 hours, something like that.
just experiencing that for that long,
Yeah.
that's gotta be insane.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like constant tension on all your muscles and stuff, and like your reaction time too. Because like again, sure they can have good reaction time off the line, but doing that for an hour and a half to like 2.5 hours, that like I can't even imagine how tired they are afterwards.
Yeah, that's tough. But yeah, one of the things that like kind of pissed me off, reading about it, was the cost of entry to get into F1.
Yeah.
They had a breakdown like this one.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Zoom in on that a little bit.
Yeah. So it's just insane how quickly it ramps up. So most young kids that make it into F1 start in go-karting, competitive go-karting.
Yeah.
And these can like, I did not think go-karting could be that expensive.
Yeah, it's...
Because we've done it. It was like, what, $60 a session? But some of these costs can go up to like $600,000 a year.
What the fuck? That's insane. Yeah, by the time they're 18. Like, think about how much they've like spent on their kids at that point. Imagine if they flop and they don't make... You know,
yeah.
It's like, damn.
Yeah, it's a big bet, because what if your kid turns 18 and is like, just goes partying and does not care about...
And that's usually what you get if parents force this stuff. They'll just rebel. So it's like, that's a tough bet, especially from that young of an age.
Yeah, so it's definitely, like, it's a well-known fact, F1 is a rich people's sport.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even Max Verstappen, like, he got, like, money from the Dutch Prime Minister at some point, like, early in his career, too. And, like, his dad's a famous racer. So it's like, you have to have connections in the sport, almost. Or, like, connections to wealth, like you said.
Yeah.
To get into it.
There was, I think, a little tidbit of a story for Lewis Hamilton, and how he, like, didn't really have the money, so he had to work hard to get sponsors.
Yeah,
and it was nice seeing. So they interviewed his mom and his dad, and they were like talking about like, oh, we just had to make phone calls and got so many rejections, but it was nice seeing how much they cared.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Because like, if I had a kid and they're like, they come home one day like, well, I need $500,000 for my hobby that might not go anywhere. Most parents would be like, no, like,
yeah, go fuck yourself, kid. Like,
yeah, but the fact that his parents are just like making phone calls, trying to make brand deals.
Yeah, they're like on his side. They're like, we see your talent. We know you're good. Let's get you into that. And I mean, look how that paid off. Like, he's like,
oh yeah, 100%.
Like, he's beat Michael Schumacher with a number of like race wins and stuff like that. Like, it's wild.
Yeah, he was committed, and they even had an interview when he was, I don't know, like 8 or something, and he's just like, they were like, are you nervous for this race? Because it's some championship for go-karting. He's like, no, I'm just going to win.
Super chill. Yeah.
Yeah. And
he's always been kind of that cocky guy, but it's kind of funny. It's hilarious watching Lewis and Max kind of butt heads, because, you know, Max is that cocky type of asshole too. So it's like they meet their match when they're racing. So makes it interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, pretty insane. Another thing that was like never thought about, but they showcased it pretty well. It's just how much data is captured in the car.
Yeah.
We got like speed, temperature, elevation, humidity, G-force. Everything is captured and sent to the team. So they have like a data team just analyzing all this, making decisions, split decisions. So it's not just the driver driving. You got a whole team in the back, like figuring everything out, making decisions. And
so what I find hilarious though, it's like, for example, Max, like in multiple races, like his team, obviously, like you said, they have all this information, all this data, and they're like, Max, you need to go to the box, come on, like, we need to change the tire. He's like, no, fuck you. And he's like, just keeps driving. I'm like, bro, they literally have an analytics team telling you what to do. Like, I think you should probably listen. You can see the temperature of the tire and the wear and everything. Like, you can't see that from your driver's seat.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it's funny. And then, of course, that helped him win, so they're just like, oh, my bad. But
really,
one day it's going to go wrong. He's going to lose a tire.
Yeah. The last thing was the aerodynamics. So now we've gone like complete other end, and like these cars, if they go 200 kilometers an hour and go like upside down, they will still manage to drive.
Upside down. Anyway.
Yeah, like it's hypothetical, but if let's say you're going 200 and the road like inverts and then you're driving upside down, you could stay because there's so much downforce.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Huh. So it's like the wing and like all the body panels that kind of make it slippery.
Well, so like a downforce means the car is like glued to the ground, like pushed to the ground. Essentially, you know how a plane has upforce and like lifts off and wants to lift off.
It's the opposite.
Yeah, the car is like glued to the ground, and yeah, you could drive the car upside down, which is like
that's hard to imagine.
Love to see.
Yeah,
I'm sure it would go wrong, but.
You should have an upside down F1 race. That'd be hilarious. I guess we slow down for the corners or just start falling.
It's just.
So I have to hit the corner with 200, I guess.
If you take your foot off the gas,
you're fucked, yeah. Or if your engine dies or something.
That would be really interesting.
That'd be a sight for sore eyes, though.
Yeah. So, they also had. So we looked at the past, the present, and they also had a future of F1 section, which I thought was really cool. So they're kind of, which as much as it sucks, of course, the whole saving the planet and stuff. So we're going towards more electric vehicles, more, this one I don't get. So there's Formula 1, there's Formula E, but Formula 1's now moving towards electric. So, like, are they
going to merge, I guess?
Yeah,
that's weird. I've never understood that concept, like, in general, like, the movement, like, hybrid maybe, which they're already kind of doing, but like maybe getting smaller engines, building more hybrid capacity, but going full electric, like it just kind of defeats the purpose of Formula 1.
Yeah, but also like we've seen how poorly Formula E has done.
Exactly.
Like if they're looking to lose all the numbers.
Not only that, but if they crash, like you gotta leave the racetrack for at least 3 weeks. It's gonna be burning for like over 1,000 degrees for 3 weeks.
That's true. Yeah.
It's not gonna go very well.
But they are looking at sustainable fuel. So.
Okay, that would be better. Yeah. Like other types of fuel.
Yeah.
V12 is a V12, so as long as it can run on whatever fuel.
Yeah, and another factor they said is like a normal road car is 25%, only uses 25% of the energy, whereas the Formula 1 uses about 50.
Oh wow, that's actually impressive. I didn't know that.
So maybe if they can get that number up and use less fuel but still have the same power, then I don't know. I'll leave it for them to figure it out.
Yeah, because if it's more efficient, then technically they're running on less fuel, which means technically there's less emissions. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's another way, exactly.
That's how we get our V10s back.
I missed that, though. If you guys haven't yet, just, my God, do yourself a favor and watch those, like, V10, V12, F1, like, flybys. Like, you'll probably shit your pants. It's actually so sick. Like, I wish I was old enough back then to, like, go and watch one.
Yeah.
Like, you'd probably be deaf, but still, like, just hearing that in person would be insane.
Yeah, it would be crazy. Who knows? Maybe they make a comeback.
Yeah, it'd be nuts.
And other things, they have lighted cars. So one thing they play around with is the cost of entry is so enormous for teams that, essentially anyone who's in Formula 1 right now will probably stay. But anyone who wants to join, unless they want to dish out like a couple of billions at this point,
fucked.
They can't really. So what the idea floating around is the Formula 1 or FIA builds a chassis, builds most of the tech and like safety features and all that into it, and then the manufacturers just have to, let's say choose tires and make their own engine or work with another company, and that way it's a lot less of cost to get into it, and it would be more enticing because I feel like there's not much diversity. There's like Ferrari, Aston Martin, Mercedes, and Red Bull.
Yeah, it's not a lot. Yeah, there's not a lot going on. This is like Williams and like the smaller teams. Mm-hmm. There's Renault. I don't know.
True.
There's another one. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, there's a lot. Oh, AlphaTauri. It's another one. It's like a subsidiary of Red Bull to some extent. It's like the junior team. But yeah, they definitely don't have a lot of teams. Like, there should be a lot more. And Lambo needs a damn team.
Yeah, that would be nice. And then a big one that's, I guess, causing controversy, what isn't nowadays, but there's no female drivers.
True, actually, yeah. I was thinking about that the other day. It's interesting because it's not like they have like a, how there's like the WNBA for basketball, but like you don't really have that for Formula 1.
Yeah.
There's no W Formula One. You know, just there just are no female drivers. And up until lately, there wasn't really any like other than like white drivers, European drivers either.
Mm-hmm.
Like now you have Yuki Tsunoda, who's an Asian driver. I think there's another Asian driver as well. But like everything is like it's like one of the oldest sports to like still have that ingrained. So
Yeah.
yeah, it'd be interesting to see if that changes.
Yeah, I would love to. Maybe, I'm assuming sponsorships play a lot in there.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
They'll choose.
She's a Pantene sponsorships on cars or something, or like Tampax or something.
Yeah, but also maybe sponsors need to take a risk instead of go for a white male like traditionally. They take their chance on a female driver.
Exactly. Yeah. And honestly, like I think I've seen this study before, like with stock market stuff, but like that female reaction times are actually faster than men's in some cases too, especially younger females. And then also in terms of like emotional stuff, like they're more stable. Like when something does happen, they can actually like handle it on the track, like in the moment kind of thing. Whereas like if men will get pissed off, they'll just kind of deal with it and keep going. So I've heard that might be an asset. So who knows? Maybe there'll be a top driver.
Yeah, that'd be cool to see.
That'd be awesome. Plus they're light, so
yeah,
be an advantage.
Yeah, like a 4 foot, 100 pound.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. Like 60 pounds in Formula One car. It's a lot of weight.
Yeah.
It's a big difference.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, that was the museum, and the thing that like the entire time, because I was reading all these regulations and all this BS about like the current system, I was like, what if there's a race where there's no regulations, like balls to the wall? Like the FIA is even regulating. So last year there's 4 fins at the front splitter.
Yeah.
Now it's only 3, and that like reduced downforce by 10%. So I was like, what if there's just no limitations? Just like put the craziest engine, craziest tires, do all the aero. Like how fast could it be?
Yeah, maybe the only cap they would have is like how much you can spend, and then that's it.
Not even. Like I would love to see how far we can push it.
True, but at the same time, I feel like then everything would just make no sense because then one team would just have some insane capex that they put into it, and then they have like a $50 million car, and then another team has like $3 million, and then like they just win every time.
Yeah, it wouldn't be like a competitive race. Like it wouldn't count towards anything. But
just seeing what they build, yeah.
Yeah, just going from racetrack to racetrack to see how fast of a lap can be put down.
That's when you attract like companies like Koenigsegg into the ring. I feel like they'd want to compete in something like that.
That would be pretty cool.
That
like if
awesome.
they build a race car, like no worries about road legal and all that. Just
track car.
Yeah.
That'd be nuts. I could definitely see them doing it.
Collaboration, like Red Bull, Ferrari, Koenigsegg, like all.
Can you imagine they all come together and make one?
That would be insane.
Dude. Like imagine compounding all the money they have in Formula One and building one like insane car. Think about that innovation, dude. All their engineers, all their scientists and everything that analyze all the data, like that'd be nuts what they could build.
If there's a billionaire watching this, fund this project, spend like $100 million and see what we can create.
Yeah, it'll be worth it. You'll go down in history for sure.
Yeah. And we get the trademark the idea.
Yeah.
So we get a rider. Actually, no, we probably die from the G-force.
Yeah, even in the passenger seat, you'd have to like have a brace holding your head in your seat, or else you'd be dead. So yeah, that sounds pretty cool though. I'll definitely have to check it out. You guys should too if you're in Toronto or planning to visit Toronto.
Yeah, do it soon because it's
22nd I think is the last day, if I'm not mistaken, of September.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, cool. All right, anything else? Alrighty, guys. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next week for the Big 50.
Bye.
Goodbye.